Adolfo, te acabo de mandar un request en Instagram. Okay, and we're live on Facebook now. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Adolfo, I just sent you a request to join my live feed on Instagram. Okay. You can just accept it, and you'll be with us. Let me send it again. Okay. All right, let's see. Just waiting for my friend Adolfo to join us. Thank you guys for joining. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not, I need, send me another invitation for Instagram.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, I see you're in here. So actually, I think you left. So if you can go back in, go to my live feed on the Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
All right, and once you join in, I will see you, and I'll be able to send you a request to join.
I can.
Here. Okay, here we go. All right, I just sent you a request. All right, there you are.
Excellent.
And we're live. All right, perfect.
Sounds.
It all sounds good. Now, I think you can now lower the, if you can lower the volume on your computer, and we'll be communicating through Instagram.
Okay.
All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your patience. It's always a little tricky with our connections, but I think it's all good right now. If anyone on Instagram, I'm just going to ask you, anyone who's there, to give us a sound check if you can hear me and my friend Adolfo at the moment. And hello, everyone that's joining on Facebook. Welcome. Okay. All right. So it looks like, Adolfo, can you say hello on to see if I can hear you on all of the platforms?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Christian. Thank you so much for this invitation. Very happy to be with you. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good everywhere. Wonderful. Thanks for the sound check. So let me just do one more thing, and we will begin today's conversation. I thank you all in advance who are joining us. And special thanks to my friend Adolfo, who is sacrificing a little bit of his time to be here with us today, all the way from New Zealand, from Auckland, New Zealand. Okay. I'm just trying to set up everything so that I can see everyone's comments properly, and I can on Facebook, and I can respond to all of your comments. And here we go. Okay. Okay. And one more thing. Here we go. Okay. All right. So let's begin our talk for today. Welcome, everyone. My name is Cristian Vallejo. I am the Gnostic instructor here at the New York City Gnostic School. This is my good friend Adolfo Suero, who is joining us today to talk about the relationship that exists between the root and the heart chakra. Okay, we're going to do a little study. We'll have a conversation to discuss that relationship that exists between those two chakras, which are two very important chakras to begin to work with. And we'll talk a little bit about how to balance these chakras, how to work with these chakras from the body up, and also or what's referred to as the bottom top approach or top bottom approach. We can influence our state of being, as we have been talking about in different classes, that we can influence our overall state of being with our mind. We can influence our body, but we can also influence our state of mind through our body. And so this is a very important aspect in the teachings. And so we want to just talk a little bit about it today. We're also going to talk a little bit about mantra. We'll try to share with you some mantras, some prayers, some breathing exercises that can help you in this process of balancing the entire chakra system. Feel free to leave comments as we go. We'll have a session at the end for questions and answers. Okay. So if you can, I'd prefer you save your questions for the end of the talk so that we can sort of address them one by one, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Okay. All right. And so I want to start first with a thought. As I was talking to you, Adolfo, as I mentioned when we were planning this talk, there's a wonderful thought by one of our Gnostic brothers, Daniel Hubicki. He says, our work must always be established here in the physical world, right? The foundation, the Muladhara, right? As we know, the Muladhara chakra is also called the root chakra or the foundation, right? And the work begins here, right? This then becomes the stable power that is required to continue with all other works, right? We have to begin the work here and now in the physical world. Gnosis is about awakening here in the world so that we can begin to awaken in all of the different so-called dimensions of space, right? And the Master Jesus gives us a hint on the relationship between these two chakras when he talks in his Beatitudes. He gives in the Sermon of the Mount. He says two very interesting things that relate to this topic. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Right? And so this word meek means someone that is quiet, gentle, and it refers to a submission towards God. Right? And so that is in relation to the Muladhara chakra, right? That those that are basically able to surrender physically, to be gentle, to be serene, are able to inherit the world, the kingdom, right? Nature. We begin to enter into or connecting with the four elements in our lives. And then he says that the heart basically gives us the ability to see God, right? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And so in Gnosis, we'd say that there is an intimate relationship between the state of the physical body and our emotions. And so I believe this is so fundamental in the work, and why I invited our brother Adolfo. So Adolfo, if you can share with us some of your insights in relation to all of this, I open the mic to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christian. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. We all start where we are at. We have a physical body that works depending on the treatment that we give it to it, and but also to know exactly where we have to go in regards to this interesting and transcendental initiatic path. We need to know how our body works. Mm. And also link immediately or related to how our psychology works. So we need to know exactly where are we located in these two aspects. And speaking with my wife, which is also a great collaborator, she's the one that's been behind the curtains here, making arrangements and helping me with it's I
Well,
can't
she did a
believe it.
great
I
job.
couldn't, yeah. Otherwise, it will take me probably a few hours to get ready. But she's the best. So, uh, so we need to know. I mean, we don't question how things work. You know, we take things for granted, and we don't question, for example, who's in charge of the digestive system. We don't ask what does our eyes blink. What we don't. I mean, what creates the sweat? Why do we sweat when the temperature rises? Things, just elemental things that happen every day. How we breathe, how's the process of receiving the oxygen from the air, the prana, how that energy is being transformed, which is if we see, for example, the um, the virtues that some of these chakra can provide to us. If we talk, for example, about the heart chakra, the Anahata Chakra, and it's related with love, compassion, you know, and all these elements, all these virtues. We can call it virtues. Um, but if we observe the organization of our physical body and how the organs work, how the glands and the hormones work, how instinctively all these functions that are so independent work, we realize that those elements that we are trying to develop within ourselves, like we call it virtues, are already being shown to us, giving us at least this organic life, this biological existence in a physical body that works accordingly with cosmic laws that we ignore. So it's very important to recognize that the organization of, or let's say, the organization of our seven main chakras are is the same kind of type of organization which the cosmos or this round of creation is being created. And when we talk, for example, about a chakra, we're talking about a like uh, let's say this disc that or wheel that uses the energy of the cosmos and transform it into energy. Hmm? So otherwise, we will not be able to survive or to resist, to tolerate the radiation, the cosmic radiations, even the ones that come from the sun. So when that happens, I mean, the chakras cannot just work just because. I mean, there's an organization, it's a system there. So when the energy hits the chakras, we call it prana, hit the chakra, that energy, those atoms of magnetism, electricity, willpower, that that are surrounding and impregnating the whole cosmos, the creation, every planet and every organism that populate these planets, including us as humans. What happened is that once the energy reached that chakra, the chakra transformed that energy into vital energy, and that vital energy needs another manager within in order to distribute the energy properly into the organs that physical organs I'm talking about, because the chakras are in a different dimension, transform the energy and become vital energy. And that vital energy hits the organs, and the organs can work, or glands, or make glands, which each one of those chakras are located in a parallel dimension, will give to these glands the enough energy to create hormones. And we're talking about the manager that does all this work is the instinctive center.
Right.
And the instinctive center, I mean, we need to understand that this order, invisible order, belongs to a superior kind of intelligent principle, or principles we can call it, that are regulating all the activities within ourselves. And they're also at the service of the law to cause and effect, of course. But the main thing is that without us acknowledging, the instinctive center is doing all the work. And all this work is beyond our perception, which give us an idea of the love, or mercy and compassion they have the absolute, or the superior worlds, in order to give us life and existence. Hmm?
Mm.
In this way, at least, because the chakras, what they do is to give us, maintain or organic existence. But then, when we want to understand, or we want to perceive that there is another level of perception of life as we know it, then we can use those chakras in a superior way, not only to serve as a transformers of energy, to have vitality in the heart and the physical body and the sexual organs, and the nervous systems, etc. But furthermore, um, but furthermore, to have develop the capacity to connect ourselves consciously to those superior rounds, or to those superior intelligent principles. So, and how can we understand, for example, one of the virtues of the Anahata Chakra, excuse me, is the faculty, the superior aspect, it is the faculty of the intuition. What is intuition? Intuition is the capacity to perceive objectively the meaning in a very synthetic way of something, of anything that we are paying attention to, without reasoning. Okay, and it's so fast that doesn't need any kind of intellectual uh, equation or calculation. No, it's just. But curiously enough, the speed of the intuition, or the intuitive activity, goes parallel with the speed of the instinctive center, that does many things thousands of times faster than an emotion, or that uh, uh, the speed that the a thought can be processed. So also, in order to develop this this quality, for example, why is so important the instinctive center? Like everything in creation, the way that organ works, the way that our mind works, the energy that is deposited in each center, and the intellect, and the emotions, and the physical body, and the instinctive center, and the sexual glands, they are all they are all calculated mathematically based on the behavior of the individual. See, the energy, the life that we were given to, um, all this power, all this vital energy can go in one direction or another. For in creation, the power of these chakras can be developing in the superior way or in the inferior way. All depends on the state of our psychology. And it's why at the beginning of this talk, of this participation, I mentioned that we need to know our psychology. We need to know how it works. Otherwise, what will happen is that, for example, when we have a reaction towards something uncomfortable, we react with tension, stress, and usually we reflect after the reaction. This process of reflection after the reaction is because even those psychological reactions are being managed by the instinctive center. So if we are angry or we are, with thirst of revenge or whatever, jealousy, you name it, and that sensation, that emotion, is already disturbing all our system, because those glands that producing hormones that will be directed to every organ, to every part of our body, to regulate the activities that it needs in order to keep on going, will be too much or too little, thanks to the lack of equilibrium in our psychology. Therefore, it generates a big problem because what happens is that for us, in order for us to understand that every reaction, of course, every action have a reaction, and the reaction have an effect. Um, it is necessary to know our psychology. If we want to, for example, develop the virtues of the heart, of compassion, of tolerance, faith, we need to work with our psychology first. Those are no virtues that can be achieved only with meditation. Meditation, mantralization, you know, um, devotion. For example, if we add devotion as a virtue, we can be meditating and reach that state of quietude or concentration. But the virtues itself have to be gained with psychological work. Mm? So when we go to meditate, when we go to pray, to do our prayers, for example, we pray without fear, we pray without stress, we pray without tension. Why? Because we've been meditating, of course, and we achieve the level of concentration. So a person that works in his intolerance, a person that works with his lack of empathy for its fellow man pain, you know, for the current situations that we are going through, we see the planet. Um, it's very difficult that person could develop devotion or compassion in a meditation practice only. In the meditation practice, in the mantralization, we can stimulate the chakras, really powerful, in a very, really powerful way. But once we finish that practice, if we don't know our psychology and we're still with the same type of reactions, who is going to take that energy? Who is going to take that power? So it's then with the chakras are developed in the opposite direction. So why is so important to understand the importance, the connection between the physical realm, as you mentioned at the beginning in this and this statement that Dan Hubicki made about where we have to start the work, you know, in the Muladhara chakra. In why the Muladhara chakra? The Muladhara chakra is located in the coccyx, right? Um, Near or is the base of all the chakras, including the Anahata chakra located in the heart. You know? Why is so powerful? Why the Muladhara chakra is the base of all of them? Wow, you know, because number one is the base of the sexual glands. You know, the sexual glands that producing the sexual hormones. If there's an imbalance on those hormones, you know, in our psychology is not in place, a person that develops too many or produces its body produces too many glands, sexual glands, and is not and that person is not in charge of psychology, it become a rapist, for example. I'm talking about medicine, science. This is no an esoteric talk. It's a combination of both. You know?
Yeah.
So a person that it becomes, you know, reacts out of intolerance is very different. The amount of hormones that this body produces between the person that just talked and the person and the amount of hormones that makes a person physical violent to the point of committing a crime. It's an imbalance of substances within ourselves. So it's why it's so important not just to know our psychology but to how our body works. So why is so important the Muladhara chakra? Uh, why? Because in the initiatic path, that's the bridge between the exterior world, you know, the energies that go to the to that chakra that has to transform the energy and vital energy that goes to the sexual organs, the sexual glands, and produces the sexual hormones, and also the instinctive center that, you know, assimilates the digestive system, the respiration, and all this process um, goes to through the digestive system, and the best quality of that energy, all that filter or that factory we can call it, are deposited in our sexual glands, the best of the best. But then we know very well, if we don't know the technique, if we don't know about alchemy, if we don't know about transmutation of the sexual waters, that energy is being lost, and the chakra, the Muladhara chakra, and instead of providing a bridge between the physical dimension and the awakening of the other chakras, it starts to develop negatively. So the person becomes, because of the misuse of the sexual energy, start to become dependent on that behavior and developing the chakras negatively. So when we start to, why is so important? Why is the Anahata chakra? It's because in both ways, like anything else in creation, it's neither bad or good. It depends what you do with that energy. Is somebody giving you a lot of money, you can use it to waste it and I don't know, whatever. Or you can use it to invest it.
Right.
Not in the stock market because that would be negative too, depending on what you do. But it's just, you know, you're not gonna invest your money in something that you know that is not gonna be a good business. You're not gonna invest in your time in something that is not gonna be productive. In the same way, we need to know how our psychology works to see if a behavior is productive or not. So that bridge, why so the Anahata or the Muladhara chakra is so important. Why? Because it's in that chakra when the initiate, can experience the first sparks of the sacred fire, of the Kundalini, when that person starts to transmit its sexual powers. You know, if we care for sexual glands, for sexual waters, you know, we learn about the systems of transmutation. We're entering to another dimension of knowledge. This is something that you cannot learn. Maybe you can have an intellectual perception in this talk, but you become your inner instructor, your inner teacher. That fire It has a those principles that we spoke minutes ago, those intelligent principles that create the universe, the cosmos, that generate all this energy that our chakras start to transform and transform into vital energy, are the ones that are going to be transformed within ourselves to a different level, and are the ones that produces in the person what we call it the kundalini within ourselves in time. And that kundalini is the one that organizes, that sacred fire is the one that organizes our inner cosmos. So it changed your perception of everything. It changed the psychological work. It changed the perception of ourselves. It changes the perception in which we see humanity. It changes the perception of how much capacity we have within ourselves in order to transcend this world of relativity, in which we think that we are doing something right, and then time tells us that was not right. What happened there? What we were missing? Intuition. You know, you know. So it's very important to understand. And then once the fire goes up, it reaches the heart, which is important because it's the temple of the Divine Mother. You know, it's a temple of the Divine Mother. When the fire reaches at that stage, I mean, we are. It's like. It's like a going to the center of the absolute, as we know, is the original in creation. So only one law there, the law of love. There's nothing else. There's no yours, mine. There's no sense of property. It's just love. We call it love, but just to give it a name, but it's a state of consciousness. That we can enjoy while we have this physical body. But of course, we have to understand all the we have to understand our psychology to understand our karma too. um I don't know, Christian, would you like to make a comment? Or
Yeah, you just actually, you just said, you brought the word karma, and that's actually another concept that I would like to explore in another Gnostic conversation, because I think most of us, when most people, when they hear the word karma, they have this very limited perspective of what karma is. Obviously, in the Gnostic tradition, we try to expand all of those concepts, and and this is precisely, why the Muladhara Chakra, we say that it's so important to work with the Muladhara Chakra, so important because it connects us, like you said, with the physical world and with action. And for every action, like you said, there is a reaction. And so one of the things that I wanted to that I wanted to point out in this conversation is that, as we're beginning to see, right, that intimate relationship that exists between how we between our physical actions, or between our body and our emotions. And there is some interesting, you talk about, you mentioned biology too, and also very interesting topic, because I've studied so much how certain scientific research done on how our biological instinctual impulses influence the way that we feel the world, the way that we perceive the world in a given moment. And you gave that example in the beginning of someone, for instance, that has a very strong sexual impulse. All of a sudden, it's an impulse that's coming from the physical body, right? And if you don't bring the heart, if you don't align your heart with, like you said, with the Divine Mother, which is in Gnosis, is the manifestation of the love of God within us. If we don't align ourselves, right, we don't align the Muladhara Chakra in that moment, that has an instinctive impulse, with the love, right, that comes from the being in our heart, then it takes us into, we can say, a degenerated use of that sexual energy, which can take us to, all sorts of, can push someone to, like you said, to become a sexual, to create a sexual assault, or any of that sort, right? Or that sort of thing. And one of the interesting things that I found also, in relation to all of this, there was an interesting study done. It was a fascinating study on. They wanted to actually see the relationship between the breath and emotions, or if there was a correlation between the emotions that we feel and a particular way of breathing. And yeah, they took they took some people and they brought them into this room and they stimulated them. They showed them movies or different scenes to stimulate specific emotions within the person. And they took measurements of how the people were breathing, if they were breathing very shallow, or complete breaths, if they were relaxed and so forth. And they noticed that, so they took those measurements, right? Okay, this moment, this person is experiencing this emotion, and they seem to be breathing this way. Then they took in a new set of participants, and they asked the participants, they said, I want you to breathe in these specific ways and tell us how you feel. And so they did that, and once they started doing these, breathing in these specific ways that the scientists had told them to breathe, they started writing down what they were feeling when they were doing the exercise. And the breath, the breathing, the way in which they were breathing was triggering again those emotions that the original participants were experiencing in the study. So and again, and this brings us to something that I know you're going to mention on how to balance the chakras, right? Which is that through breathing. This is why different traditions, right, tell us to focus so much on the breath. When you take a meditation course, when you meditate, you begin to relax, and as you begin to relax, then you begin to feel peaceful, right? And your heart opens up. It's very hard for your heart to open up when you're in a very stressful, tense situation, right?
Yes.
And so I also want to just mention something very interesting that on a spiritual level, right? On an esoteric level, as you mentioned, the superior aspect or quality of the Anahata Chakra, the heart chakra, as many people know this, the chakra, the name of this chakra, is intuition, right? And like you said, intuition. I love what you said. You said it's a moment in which you just synthetically know, right? I heard one scientist refer to intuition as super learning. It's information that just instantly downloaded, and you right away you just know, right? And and that intuition, right, is limited by the state of our physical body. And so again, if you're in a state of fear, if you're in a state of jealousy, like you mentioned, then your ability, right, to connect, to feel the world around you is very, very limited, right?
Yes.
So and so that's why, again, I love, that's why I love also what you said about the psychological aspect of the work, right? It's we need to bring our psychology. It's wonderful to experience these states of consciousness and of being while we're meditating, but it's important to bring those states of being and embody them, right? Because otherwise we can turn into this. There's a concept that's thrown around in the spiritual circles. It's like spiritual bypassing, right? Where you're happy over here, but then in real life, like in the middle of the battle, that's when we're really tested to see if we're really embodying those things that we're experiencing temporarily, in a meditation, right? And Master Samael says something interesting, that instincts is the counterpart of intuition, and that when we learn to use the instinctive center, or turn our instinctive center, as you were saying, in a positive state, to bring the instinctive center in a relaxed state, he says we awaken this uh, aspect or quality of being, which is the instinctive perception of cosmic truths.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why I see this link, right, between intuition and the instincts, because intuition is something that in the moment you just grasp, but it's more of an instinctive, right, download, an instinctive experience of knowing what it is, right? And of course, this only happens, obviously it happens physically because your instincts can perceive, right, what's going to happen, and it tells you, hey, pay attention, maybe something's gonna come up, and it sort of prepares you. And so spiritually, the instinctive center, once you are able to properly awaken the Muladhara chakra through the practices, it not only tells you the information that's coming from the external world, but also from the internal world. It tells you, hey, check this out, right? This is internally, this is your real self. This is what you really need to do, and then we connect with that inner voice, right? That's so many of us speak about. So yeah, I just wanted to just add a couple of those things, and yeah, and then you also mentioned something important about the heart, which the heart chakra, which aside from intuition, right, it develops faith, right? And as we know from in the Gnostic tradition, we look at faith as more than just believing in something. Faith for a Gnostic is a direct experience of something, right? And of course, it makes sense, because when you begin to open the heart, you begin to have mystical experiences, right? As Jesus said, only those with pure heart will be able to see God. And I'm sure, as when we begin to open the heart, right, we begin to have these mystical experiences, even astral travels, right? Past life memories, aside obviously from the love and well-being that this chakra awakens, because it allows us to experience, right, higher levels of being, and allows us for deeper connection with others, and obviously harmonious relationship with others. It also helps us in developing true faith, right? Which is, I think, one of the wonderful things that I really love about, and that captivated me about the Gnostic path, is that it's not about believing, right? It's about faith. It's about having an experience of what you're, of what we're, of what the master teaches. And I'm sure that I heard this story that always sticks with me. Master Samael, for all of you that don't know, Master Samael had this someone that we know in the Gnostic movement as Master Rabolu. And in the beginning, he ended up being the closest disciple that Master Samael had, and the one that was that also reached self-realization right after Samael. But in the beginning, it's very interesting, because they say that he didn't believe anything that the master said, right? He would come to, I don't know if you heard this story, but he would come to the lectures and listen to Master Samael talk about, the astral world and the chakras and the soul and all these things. And at the end of the lecture, he would go and say, Master, I do not believe anything that you say. and he says, really? Okay. And he says, yeah, give me a practice, and I'll come back next week and I'll let you know. And then I'll believe you. And so it's like, that's what we need to do, right? So interesting.
which reminds us, for those that are listening or seeing this talk, listening this talk, is do not believe anything that we say. Do not be complacent with your intellect, because that the intellect doesn't create faith. What it does is it can give you enough information for you to do your work. We are using we are speaking, you are listening, and you make your own conclusions, but better yet, apply in the practical way what we are talking about, and don't just practice once. Do not wait for your practice of meditation to relax your body, to
Yeah.
breathe properly, right?
Right.
Because 35%, and imagine all the energy, the chakras, for example, they they activate upon the amount of energy that we receive. Let's say while we are breathing, the activity of respiration, um, we don't use it at its full potential. Why? Because there is already a permanent state of stress, a permanent state that we cannot perceive of fear, a state of tension as a result of all this prior also. And there is an instinctive, unknown, subconscious level of guilt that we don't know why, but we are afraid of something. It is why we always project in the future how our life will be, how this job will go, how this relationship will go, the amount of money in the bank, or whatever, we can project in the to make our present time more livable. But that, or bringing the memory of the mind to the past, make us make us live in this state of tension that do not. As a result of that, when we breathe, we don't breathe properly. Oxygen that we get and the prana that we receive in order for the chakras to work is just minimum. You know, a child, his respiration is 100%. You see the child going from one place to another, and with the belly going, you know, uh, with the oxygen, his belly full of air, and then you can see them breathing. Why? Because they don't have psychological problems. They don't have concerns. They don't have to pay rent. They don't have to, deal with all the things that adults do. Deal
All the
simple
bills are
things that
covered.
create. That's right. That's right. So, for example, and then when we mention the heart and the Divine Mother and the powers of the Divine Mother, she has the power to activate our chakras, like this. But but she cannot give us, you know, a weapon if we don't know yet how to walk. We still, like a kid trying to understand the mysteries out there. We need to learn how to walk first. And interesting enough, that the power that our Divine Mother has, the power of the Kundalini, goes in proportion in the way that we treat sexuality. Mhm. And going, for example, into the practical aspect, or meditation practices, um, we will find that we'll find that our priority in a practice of meditation, of relaxation, should be the level of concentration. Okay, because we'll find that the vibration that is produced by a mantra can resonate with us today, or maybe the vibration, um, the sound of that mantra might not resonate with ourselves, you know, and it can even be uncomfortable for us to do certain mantras. But through time, because our organism and the way that we treat it, you know, mantralizing, for example, in a practice of meditation, um, it's not just that 30 minutes, the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes, the hour. Is the way that we use the word during the day, the vibration, the thoughts, the quality of thoughts that we have during the day. It sends a vibration to each cell in our body. And if we are living in this constant state of tension, of fear, of pride, it's sending that kind of nourishment to ourselves.
Right.
Then by the time that we go to meditate, our mind is too, busy, and our body is too tense. When in action, actually, we have to observe those activities during the day. So when we go to meditate, we already acknowledge those and let them go as a fantasy, as something non-existent. That we make it real in the physical dimension when we allow them to take over our actions, our feelings, etc. So, for example, what develops the what develops within ourselves, the devotional aspect, you know. So for example, praying. If we pray out of fear, out of tension, or we pray to, I don't know, oh, Father, give me the lotto numbers for the next, I don't know, draw. I mean, uh, why are we praying for? We are praying from the psychological aspect, which is creating the problem in the first place. So when we pray, we have to have a certain level of attention, of concentration. Our mind is quiet, you know. Our heart, I mean, our body is relaxed, which is very important. The respiration process, inhalation, exhalation. You contain the air for a couple seconds, you release it. Do it for 5 seconds, and you're gonna notice a big difference. Mhm.
For sure.
So, for the moment that you have to address yourself to your inner divine sign, um, you are free of any conditioning. You are addressing what you need to address, and out of all these elements. Why? Because you are relaxed properly. Do not let preoccupations fool um, fool your mind, your heart, and your body with tension, because it's not just physical tension; it's mental tension with the thoughts and preoccupations. And also, we we teach those techniques. So if you have the opportunity to participate in a group where they are using a specific mantra or vocalization, for example, the mantra OM, that stimulates the heart chakra. And if you feel uncomfortable for some reason, just relax your physical body. Observe within yourself what is getting so uncomfortable. It's because you never hear that mantralization. It is because your body doesn't feel comfortable. Why it doesn't feel comfortable today? Um, and what is in your mind? Are you uncomfortable because of the mantra, or because of the position, or because it reminds you, I don't know, movie about monks and Shaolin or whatever that links immediately with violence? Because our mind has levels of mental associations that we cannot even imagine, that have a strong impact on our meditation practices.
Right.
You know, so if you want to be honest and sincere with yourself, when you pray out of sincerity. You know, ask for what you need, not for what you want. And the difference can be found in knowing yourself psychologically speaking. So,
You know,
yes.
I really that always comes to whenever we speak of these sorts of things and manifestation, all that. It reminds me of that wonderful teaching from Jesus. He said, "Do do God's work, and everything else will be added on to you." Right? But we want to skip the work and get the reward.
That's right.
Which, of course, it's because and again, because of the wrong state of the the instinctive center, right? Because we don't feel safe, because we don't feel we don't feel the hand of divinity in our lives taking care of us, right? And so we feel like, ooh, I need to take care of myself, and I need to control everything in my life, you know, ignoring that there are certain you know, divine principles that attract things into your life, or that don't attract things into your life, right? And so that's a very important thing. So I always invite people to meditate on, before you ask, meditate, is this really aligned with my true essence, with my true being? Or is it just something, like you said, that I just want, or that I desire? Because I think that that's what's going to make me happy. When really what's going to make you happy, actually being happy, is very easy. It's just,
and there
you're
are other and there are other levels in the work
of
that
course.
will put you in a situation where you will be doing the right thing, but then it's not going to crystallize in the physical dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for you and your own learning only.
Right.
Why you cannot expect, you know, to I mean, we cannot expect. It is why it's called the work of oneself, because you cannot expect changes in another person, if or you cannot, in other words, you cannot demand changes in another person if we don't know what implies that process of changing within ourselves. Because if
Right.
we know whatever what implies to work with intolerance, with impatience, with jealousy, with loss, with all these elements that we carry, preoccupations, stress, resentment, etc., fears, if we don't know the process, psychological process that demands to work with each one of them and have them under control until they can be dissolved, we cannot demand that from other people. So we have to, that's the way that you develop natural tolerance, natural um, um, compassion.
Right.
You know, it's how you develop naturally, psychologically speaking, those virtues or qualities of the heart chakra. You know, you don't want that only in a few seconds of meditation. You know,
Right.
it's through faith, through experience, direct experience. So that's very important. The chakras, and if we want to enjoy the benefits of the full use of the chakras, we need to know ourselves. We need to know that a reaction of anger will 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 absorb a lot of energy that was supposed to be supplied to one of our organs. You
Yeah,
know,
that's a great point.
and
Yeah.
that's why we start feeling sick, mentally, emotionally. Our digestive system is broken because we were eating and somebody comes with a negative news about something or a gossip, and we got into it and we got involved into it, and then all these instinctive processes, you know, have a lot to do with our psychology. The salute of the physical body has, it's always connected. Chakras, the physical body, the instinctive center, the Anahata Chakra, the Muladhara Chakra with the fire in there. The fire that can be used for developing these virtues and live within, or to exacerbate those psychological defects that we just mentioned.
Oh, um, I'm sorry. We lost. I forgot. I lost track of time, and Instagram only gives us an hour. So let me go back in and then join me. Okay. Um, we'll do a second. All right. So I'm live again on Instagram, and it usually gives me a warning before. Hello. Sorry. Welcome everyone again. We went over our 60-minute limit on Instagram, and I didn't see the notification. So I'm glad you made it back. Let me bring our brother Adolfo again back with us. So Adolfo, if you don't mind going again to Instagram, you'll see NYC Gnosis that went live. Just go in again. And as soon as you're there, I'll send you an invitation for your camera to join. Yeah, my apologies, everyone. I lost track of time on Instagram and it knocked us out after 60 minutes. But I was able to take some of your questions and your comments, and we definitely want to get to them. So we'll just do this second part in which we'll address the questions. And we also still have some practices that we want to share with you to begin to balance these chakras. Okay, Adolfo, let me know when you're there. I don't see you yet. So you just go again on Instagram and you'll see NYC Gnosis has gone live, and then just join join that again. Oh, I don't think, okay, here we go. Here we go. Adolfo, if you can check your phone, I send you an invitation so you can click on it. There we go. All right. Here we go. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone. Thank you for joining back. So I was just telling everyone that we are going to we do have some practices, some practices to share with you to help you balance these chakras. And one of those things that we've been talking about is the breath. And I know Adolfo wanted to share just a few practices in relation to the breath work. And that I do have a couple of your questions, and we're going to answer them as soon as we're done explaining the practices, okay? So Adolfo, if you want to just maybe share a couple of practices.
During the day, I mean, the practices that we do at home or the room that we work should be a reflection of how we live during the day. You know, respiration should be normal. In and out. Try to absorb 100% of the atoms that the cosmos and the sun offers you, the oxygen from the air, the prana, the energy, because your chakras are going to be nourished with those. In the chakras, you know the process already. We'll do with the glands or the organs of the body. Observe your thoughts, because your thoughts will create tension or will relax you, you know. And furthermore, when you want to sit and do your respiration practice, for example, when you're going to meditate, the mind is going to bother you constantly, right? And if there is a thought, use the opposite for that thought. What it would be, if it's a negative thing, if you're thinking negative about a person, think about something positive that person could have done, not just for you, but somebody else, for example. Use always the opposite, because the mind likes to work, or it bases its function on the opposites always. You know, if you feel too excited about something, and that excitement cannot let you concentrate or relax, just the opposite. And do not believe in any of those poles, because the reality is very different of being positive or negative. You know? Breathe. Use the you close your eyes, and if it's sometimes even closing our eyes creates, you know, more. If we have like a very busy day, you know, it's going to be very difficult for us to concentrate. So when we close our eyes and we breathe, and those thoughts and those preoccupations still bother us, you know, you can light a candle, open your eyes, and just pay attention to the flame in front of you, you know. And every time that thought wants to take you out, you go back to that flame. Take you out, you go back to the flame, you know. Then once you reach the level of concentration, or at let's better say attention, we close our eyes.
Mm.
Always taking care of the profound respiration. The less that you get distracted in the mind, the more relaxed that you become physically, the less need that your body will have for acquiring more energy. Therefore, your respiration ceases in times, mhm, and you will notice that the amount of air that you exhale is less every time than the amount of air that you receive. Mhm. To the point that with the concentration level will help you to even seize the level of quantity of respiration of, and also is linked directly to the level of palpitations of your heart. Why? Because you are reaching a level of equilibrium, integrally speaking, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. Everything is, and then itself, you are aligning your chakras at that moment to the point that you are absorbing energy without a major effort. Okay, so another technique is to count till 10. You know, you start your practice, you breathe in, and you count mentally. Number one, you exhale the air. Number two, you inhale. Number three, and you will realize that you might be getting distracted before you get to 10. You start over. Okay, and no matter, it is not a race, it's not a competition. Nobody is waiting for the best meditator, you know initiate. No, our goal should be, number one, to reach a level of concentration, of tranquility, of quietude, even if it lasts for a second. Okay, then that level of concentration, at least for a second, where nothing bothers us, will give to all organism, to each cell, a very special kind of nourishment, because now the chakras can work to another level. You will notice, and that will be recorded in every cell of your body, to the point that the next time that you sit to meditate or to relax, you will do it with happiness, because you are ready. This is experience. This is not, is what Christian was saying. Faith. Faith is based on experience. You know, and then like internal say, "Oh my God, I have to sit back again and do nothing, and it is so uncomfortable, and and all the complaints that we have, and all the excuses, right? It's very interesting because our ego, find all those excuses when we want to take care of ourselves consciously. But it doesn't complain when we are wasting our time thinking on unproductive things.
Right.
The ego thinks that to have a minute of quietude, a few seconds of quiet, is a waste of time. Why? Because the ego cannot tolerate quietude. The ego cannot tolerate harmony. The ego cannot tolerate order.
Mm.
So it is why, in some and at least when we do our practices here, we do it with the Hansa, with the practice of transmutation. Why? Because in that practice, which we receive the help, of course, of our sexual organs and the transmutation of that breathing exercise, and the help of our Muladhara chakra, those atoms go straight to our brain, to our nervous system, to our intellectual center, and the ego cannot deal with that, cannot deal with that vibration of that powerful energy. Then we continue using the breathing exercise. Inhale, exhale, concentrating the attention on each muscle of our body. Because after we do the handstand practice, there is some tension in the body. But then it comes, you know, the mantralization. But we need to use our body as a lab, no? In which we'll figure out, okay, what are the result of my practice with transmutation? What are the result of my practices without transmutation? What are the result of my practice without the breathing exercise that we are learning, the method? What and without? How it will be the outcome? Excuse me, mantralizing. How will be a result of our practice without mantralizing? You know, what will be the result with this mantra? Well, with the result without that mantra. We have to experience constantly. And not to believe what we say here, because we can say anything to you, you know? Like it happened Rabolu with Master Samael. It's my understanding that every night he went and did his practices as he learned it.
Right.
No?
Yeah.
So basically, so when you pray, whether it's your father prayer, because it could be any prayer, you know, you concentrate, and your level of concentration, it will dictate how powerful and how strong is your request. How strong is the basis of your request? You know,
Right.
if you want to be heard by those superior principles or intelligent principles that are within yourself, you have to match the level of vibration of your mind to those levels to be in tune with those. You cannot pray out of fear because it's a different kind of vibration. Mhm.
Right. Right.
For example.
If you mentioned prayer, and I also want to the breathing. Now that you're mentioning prayer and mantras, I also want to add that one way to balance the chakras is through physical exercise, through physical movement, right? Master Samael
Yes.
wrote, he gave these wonderful exercises called the runic exercises. There's a book, he wrote a book about the runic exercises. They're basically exercises in which you you imitate with your body the shape of the letters of the runic language. For those of you that are into the Nordic tradition and the Celtic traditions, very powerful exercises to do to sort of align your body right with the cosmos, with the energy that descends from the cosmos. So for those of you that are interested, those are runic exercises, right? And you can find plenty of this. There's a book by Master Samael in which he writes about the runic exercises. They're wonderful. Along with that, obviously, yoga that a lot of people like to do, lamasery exercises and other exercises that Samael gave, and things like Tai Chi, mild exercise like jogging. All of that helps your instinctive center to relax, right? To your body to relax, and this is why we sometimes we literally get high while jogging or running, because your breathing changes, right? Qigong also, of course. When you're doing exercise, your breath changes, and your breath obviously right away changes your entire physical state, your emotional state, and gives you a different mental state, mental clarity and so forth. Along with that, obviously, there's also wonderful music that we always recommend. Classical music, peaceful music, right? Piano pieces, Gregorian chants, all of those types of music, all of that type of music helps the instinctive center sort of, soothe and open up your heart as well. This morning, actually, we did a practice which should be still on Instagram and on YouTube, If you look up the meditation practice that we did this morning at 10:30 a.m., I shared, we did a practice with the mantras for each one of the chakras. Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om. From the Muladhara chakra all the way up to the top chakras. That's another wonderful, those wonderful mantras to balance all of the centers, and like Adolfo said, right, that mantra on for the heart also helps with astral projections, those of you that are interested in that. And a very, very simple mantra that you cannot forget for the Muladhara chakra is the letter S.
Yes.
Just
yes.
Right, and it's as Master Samael explains, right? The Muladhara chakra is the chakra within which the fire of the Kundalini is trapped, and so through the practice of, well, because of the law of vibration, right? When we begin to do that mantra, it begins to liberate that fire that's inside. It's the S, right? Sounds like fire burning, right? So that's another wonderful way to harmonize that chakra. Okay, Adolfo, how about we take some questions from the audience?
Of course.
I do have a couple of comments here. Someone, Diane left a comment. I read an article that stated there's no need to open, close, or balance our chakras. It's best to leave them alone other than practicing transcendental meditation. And she finds this very strange. It actually reminds me of what Samael Aun Weor says, that, well, first of all, we say that the chakras are always spinning, right? And they're always active
So why we're still alive. We're still having organic life.
Right.
The work that we are trying to do here is to develop the chakras in such a way that we'll have other kind of faculties, not just live like an organism. We want to awaken.
Right.
So that is the use that we want to, we use the energy of the chakras at the max. All its properties, all its faculties should be enjoyable. If we have them, why don't we use them?
Right.
Yeah. That's
completely agree. And it is. I would have to say that that I think the statement is a little confusing, because they are always active, and like Adolfo said, they're either active in a way in which basically they're active in a way in which it conditions your consciousness to be solely focused on the physical body and the world, or they can be vibrating in a way that completely absorbs your consciousness into the spiritual realm, as different traditions state, like the experience of Samadhi, the experience of oneness, all that kind of stuff. And
exactly.
there is a state in which we say balanced, meaning that it doesn't take your consciousness it doesn't drag your consciousness too much into the external world or too deep into the internal world. And it allows your consciousness to be here, present, experiencing both realities at the same time. And that's what we mean when we say to balance the chakras, that you're able to be here, present in the body, experiencing the world around you, as you're also experiencing the metaphysical realm within here, because all of the dimensions are here and now, right? It's not like heaven is over here and physical is here and then hell is down here. It's all here, right? That's why, again, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is at hand, right? Everything is here and now. And so it's just a matter of where is your consciousness being dragged by your mind, by your, by the state of your chakras. There's an interesting question coming here. I don't know if you want to jump in on this one, Adolfo. Someone asked, what about people who suffer from bipolar disorder, where negative thoughts are naturally constant?
Okay. Well, there's I would say quotation mark in a person that is not bipolar, there are between 52 and 72,000 thoughts a day. Okay. So, okay, just to start with, you, me, that we cannot perceive them because they're going different levels of level of subconsciously speaking. That's one thing. But the average human have that amount of thoughts a day. Okay.
Interesting.
What we do with them, what we do with them is a different thing. We are not educated in that way. We weren't educated in school or college about how to deal with that. In some cases, it's more, um, we can say, strongly manifested, that can give us, um, um, or what was the condition? That
Uh, bipolar.
pol- bipolar. So, like when we talk, there's an imbalance in substances in our body, um, hormones or substance, the glands can be taken care of by certain kind of vitamins, or right. And but it's in the practice, in the sense of the chakras, meditation will help. But that is not just, I mean, it's not just sitting, closing our eyes, and I say I meditate already. We need to learn how to reach level of concentration. Concentration meaning quietude. But of course, we know already we have certain condition, so we have to address that if necessary. With certain vitamins that we mentioned already. Then also we need to know how our mind works, so we don't make the mind, or what the mind is producing, something real. That to the point that it can become an schizophrenic um, manifestation, which is which without us knowing is where humanity is being brought to the level of schizophrenia, because our fantasies, what there's in our mind, we want to make it real in the physical dimension. And the problem is that we don't the problem becomes when we cannot differentiate between our fantasies and the physical dimension. There's no boundaries. So if we don't take care of our mental health, that will be the result. But this type of self knowledge will help us to deal with those situations. And there, of course, there will be situations in which this work won't help you. Because it's too we're too far into it, and it has to do also with the individual um, karma of the person, which is, again, probably you will refer to that in other um, lectures about what is karma all about. How it can be negotiated.
Right.
In the way that we can actually, because there's what is impossible for us as humans in our way or limited way of thinking or conceptualizing things. It's very different and opposite. It doesn't have anything to do with that superior logic that those intelligent principles have or can do for us if we decide to take a different route in our lives. You know, we have no idea. The changes that can be done because they are within ourselves. That these intelligent principles can operate in a nervous system, for example, which is for science, a damage in the nervous system is something irreversible. You know, that's for the formal science. But depending on what we do with our own behavior, what we do with our own energies, those intelligent principles will operate in different way and will repair things. They cannot do something against our own will. Imagine we still not aware of those elements, all these activities within ourselves, and those intelligent principles still respect our free will. You know? So
Well, thank you, Adolfo. I I think we're kind of running out of time over here, and we've kept you long enough. um, if I think there was just so right now, I wanted to share with everyone. I'm sending a message right now, just typing in a few of the mantras that we've mentioned. I'm also adding a couple of mantras there. The Om Mani Padme Hum, for instance, is great for opening the heart.
Yes.
It's a wonderful mantra that comes from the Buddhist tradition. The prayer also, the Lord's Prayer in the Christian tradition is a very powerful prayer. And I forgot to mention, before we end, I forgot to mention, don't underestimate the power of kneeling prayer. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a negative state of being. You know, sometimes emotions, sadness lingers for too long, or anger or frustration. And I can't tell you how many times I've just kneeled in front of my altar, or wherever I am, if I'm in my room or wherever, just kneel for a few moments, bring your hands to your heart, talk to that inner divinity that you have within yourself, recite whatever prayer you like, and that it has a wonderful way of just bringing the instinctive center to a state of equilibrium and opening your heart. So I also wanted to add that because again, I think, and that's one of the beautiful things about Gnosis, is that we take practices from all of the different spiritual traditions. You know, you can be a Gnostic and be a Christian, or be Sufi, or be Jewish. It doesn't matter, because all of those prayers, as long as we do them with consciousness, right? As long as we practice attentive awareness, as Adolfo was explaining, the importance of concentration while we're doing our practices, then it bears amazing fruits. So, yeah.
When you kneel, it's the chakras of your knees are the ones that activate. It's why
Right.
is the strong changes in your mood and the way that you are in those moments behaving, or your
Right.
mind is.
And thank you for bringing that up again, because I think, you know, most people are familiar with, you know, like the 7 chakras, but
Yes.
we have chakras all over, right? We have chakras
Yes.
in our hands. That's why we pray like this or like this, right? We raise our hands up. Chakras in the lungs too. We have, you know, hundreds of chakras all over the body. The 7 are the main ones, right? The principal ones, but they're all connected. And so, yeah, that's wonderful. I forgot about that. When you kneel, you activate those chakras, and they're connected to the heart chakra, the chakras of the knees. Yeah, of the knees.
Pride doesn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Pride doesn't like to kneel.
Yeah. Pride doesn't like to kneel. Pride doesn't like to be humble and meek and surrendered to God.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, yeah. All right. Thank you. How can we heal the chakras in our hands when our hands are hurting? I never thought of that. But I do experience a wonderful experience and sensation when I pray, and when I pray with my hands like this up. Sometimes I open my hands in the form of a cross with my palms up, and you'll notice energy flowing. So, yeah, that's one way that I've worked with that. And you know, obviously, I mean, acupuncture is also great. Right? Acupuncture and Reiki is also wonderful for all those things. So, okay, Adolfo, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing some time with us, and also thank you all for being here with us wherever in the world we are. I see that there's someone here connecting from Peru, which you're from Peru. So
yes,
you have some compatriots.
Actually, it's my sister.
Oh, okay. Oh,
She's
wonderful.
Also
Okay.
Gnosis. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you, Corey. Well, thank you for joining us all, and We can't wait to. We have people from Stony Point, New York. People from all over. Thank you for joining. Hey, Juan Manuel just joined. Yeah, and so stay tuned. Next this Wednesday morning, okay, at 9:30 a.m., I'm going to give a class on Vipassana meditation, which is what we call in Gnosis Mo Chao, silent meditation, how to go through the proper steps of concentration, breathing, mindfulness to help us connect deeper with that state referred to as Vipassana, which is a state of having insight or meditation, right? We have that coming up, and we're going to talk about astral travels on Sunday. So we have some very exciting events, a busy week coming up. So please go to our website, nycgnosis.com, to see all of the schedule of events. And we'll have another Gnostic conversation next Monday. Stay tuned for that. I'll confirm the time. And thank you again. We hope that you have a wonderful night, and we'll see you again. Okay.
Thank you so much, Christian. Thank you so much, everyone. And until next time.
All right. Thank you, Adolfo. Okay.
Peace.
Peace. Take care. Bye, everyone. Adolfo, if you don't mind just staying here on your computer for a little bit, for a few minutes, while I log off.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone on Facebook. Take care. Thank you for your questions. We'll see you next time.